I have dedicated my professional career to the study and control of arthropods.
Hello. Today I'm going to talk about this concept of free will and original sin. I think it's very, very interesting. Uh, but I'm going to open here with a joke. A friend of mine, he's an amateur paleontologist, Casey, down in Washington State, told me this. So when people say Jesus H Christ, what does the H stand for? Anybody know? Haploid. It's okay. It's a biology joke. Very funny. So this just a bit of background here. Every so often, I'll get a comment on an old video of mine, and it's really nice actually. Even if it's a negative comment, simply because an old, I don't look at my old, I don't see my videos very often, and it's kind of nice to I'll get a comment. I'll get an email saying, whatever, a comment on a video I made months ago or longer. And it's nice to be able to read the comment and go back and see the video. Kind of revisit the video, to sort of refresh myself as to what that video was really about or what I said in it. And I got a comment recently on a video, or reasonably recently, and on a video, just a video response I'd made to a young woman. Covered a lot of ground in that, and I'm not going to go into any of those details. But this video was about, or the comment I made, or the point I had made in there, is that she had talked about free will, and about how amazing this gift from God, free will, was, the ability to choose right from wrong, as a gift, and how God had this. But anyway, the point of it is that I had stated, sort of in a broad brush stroke, that it's a pretty unsophisticated view of free will, given that it's a worship, fear me, or I'll burn you alive forever. It's hardly free will if you look at it in that context. But I want to kind of go a little bit even more deeper into that, because I believe that some Christians, I won't say most Christians, some Christians, fundamentalists, have a very, very unsophisticated, very simplistic view of what free will really, really means. And they like to state it, they tend to use it more as a kind of the Pontius Pilate for God. I wash my hands of it. This is, God set up this bunch of rules. We break the rules. We go to hell. It's not God's fault. He created the system. He created hell. He created all of the other things involved in it, including, he made the rules. He sends us to hell, but he's somehow not responsible because he gave us free will. We have the right to the will to choose. And this all goes back to original sin. I'm going to talk about from a sort of a, biblical sense. And I know, I guarantee I'm going to get PMs. You don't know squat about the Bible. I get them every time I do anything on that. I get this. They don't point to where I'm wrong. They just tell me that I don't know shit about the Bible, and I have no business talking about the Bible because I don't know shit about it. But anyway, that's fine. Go ahead. So what I want to talk about, okay, this concept of original sin is really, really interesting to me, and there's a real basic flaw I see in the story. Now, it's a great story if you take it as a myth. People have speculated that it's a myth, about the, pastoral society going into agricultural society, or whatever, a myth of the founding of civilization, the expulsion from paradise and toiling the soil and all that kind of stuff. It fits in with every other creation myth in that sense. But if you take it as a literal truth, there's a real big flaw in it. And I'm going to talk about that, because the flaw is that Adam and Eve sinned, right? So they sinned. By sinning, they made the wrong choice. They had two options: obey God or disobey God. They chose to disobey. That was their sin. Everybody, that's completely understood. It's clear in the tale that was original sin. So they made the wrong moral choice. They had a choice to choose good, they had a choice or evil, they chose evil. However, it's also clear in the tale that prior to eating the fruit, people say the apple, whatever, I'll call it the apple. Prior to eating that, they didn't know the difference between right and wrong. They didn't know the difference between good and evil. They didn't have the faculties to make a moral decision. It would be in a modern criminal case, they weren't capable of recognizing that their act was right or wrong. They disobeyed, which is wrong, but they didn't know that disobeying was wrong. They couldn't have if they didn't know the difference between good and evil. They didn't even know they were naked. Okay? So it's completely akin to let's just say you have I don't know, you have a 2-year-old child from Romania here in the United States. Okay, kid doesn't understand a word of English. You just snatched him off the street. Okay, no, I'm not. Okay, you put him down, you set him down on the floor, and you say, okay, see that? Don't touch that, or you're going to be in big trouble. Right? You walk away, he touches it, and you whap him. I'm not advocating child abuse. I find it despicable. And if somebody says, why did you smack that child? You say, well, I told him not to touch that, and he touched it. And you say, they say, you didn't. He doesn't even understand. First of all, he's 2. Second of all, he doesn't even understand English. So he had no way of recognizing that you were even giving him a command, let alone, knowing right from wrong. He's too little to know. He disobeyed because that's what kids do. Plus, he doesn't know that he was told to do something in the first place. Adam and Eve are kind of in the same boat, according to the Bible story. They didn't know. I mean, they couldn't have comprehended then. If they didn't know the difference between right and wrong, then they couldn't have known that God said, don't do that. Okay, thanks, God. Oh, and they go and do it. It's like the 2-year-old. It's exactly the same thing. And it's a great Bronze Age myth, about a just so story, why we live the way we do, why we are the way we are. But when you start analyzing that for a deeper meaning, looking into this and trying to find some heavy, big philosophical concept of free will and the need for sacrifice and atonement and why God would burn us alive forever, it falls really, really, really short. Okay. I think I'm going to revisit this concept in a part 2 because there's a whole lot more I want to say about it, and I think it's fascinating to me again, like many things. So I am going to stop now.